Tonight, a broke single dad pumped a stranger's heart back to life with his bare hands and walked away with nothing but a thank you, or so he thought. What showed up at his door 7 days later will make you believe the universe keeps receipts for every good deed. Keep watching, because the last 30 seconds will hit harder than any lottery win. The alarm on Ethan Carter's phone never really woke him. His 4-year-old daughter, Lily, beat it by 3 minutes every day. "Daddy, the sun's up," she whispered, small hand on his stubbled cheek. He smiled through the ache in his lower back, the residue of yesterday's double shift at the warehouse still clinging to his muscles. In the dim light of their rented studio, he reheated the last of the oatmeal, divided it in half, and slipped the bigger portion into Lily's favorite purple bowl, the one with the chipped rim. While cartoons flickered on the cracked tablet propped against a cereal box, he knelt to braid her hair, his calloused fingers struggling with the tiny elastics. "Hold still, Ladybug, or the braid'll look like a tornado." She giggled, and the sound was better than coffee. By 6:30 they were out the door. Ethan carried Lily on his hip down 4 flights of stairs because the elevator had been broken since Christmas. He buckled her into the back seat of the 2007 Corolla Paint sun-faded passenger window sealed with duct tape and drove the 20 minutes to Mrs. Alvarez's home-run daycare. Mrs. Alvarez greeted Lily with a warm, "Hola, princesa," and accepted the 3 crumpled $20 bills Ethan pressed into her hand with an apologetic smile. Then he was gone, racing traffic, hard-hammering, because the morning stand-up meeting started at 7:30 sharp, and late meant docked pay he couldn't afford. 8 hours of lifting boxes later, he clocked out, wolfed down a peanut butter sandwich in the parking lot, and drove across town to the public library. In the quiet back corner, he unfolded the blueprints he'd drawn on graph paper. A collapsible, lightweight wheelchair. Friendly stroller he called the Lily Go. Ethan's wife, Maya, had used a wheelchair after the car accident that took her life 2 years earlier. She never got to see Lily take her first steps. The stroller designed to clip onto most chairs, fold into a backpack, and cost less than a month of groceries was Ethan's promise that no other parent would feel the helplessness he felt navigating cracked sidewalks and narrow store aisles. But prototypes cost money, and the patent lawyer wanted $2,000 just to file. Ethan's savings account read 212.47. He rubbed his eyes, whispered to the empty table, "1 more month, baby girl, we'll get there." That night, Lily fell asleep on his chest while he sat on the couch that doubled as his bed. He counted the ceiling cracks instead of sheep, wondering if dreams had an expiration date. When was the last time you felt your dream was slipping through your fingers, yet you held on anyway? The next morning, Friday, started the same oatmeal, cartoons, the daycare drop. But Ethan had saved one luxury, a 2.5 drip coffee from Bean, Bloom, the cafe across from the library. He justified it as fuel for the hustle. Inside, the scent of espresso wrapped around him like a hug. He found a corner table, spread his blueprints, and was lost in measurements when a woman at the counter suddenly gasped. A ceramic mug shattered. The sound cut through indie music and morning chatter like a gunshot. Ethan glanced up. A well-dressed woman mid-40s, silver streaks in her dark hair, navy power suit clutched her chest. Her knees buckled. Time slowed. The barista froze. Phones stayed in pockets. Ethan's body moved before his mind caught up. He leapt over his chair, blueprints scattering like startled birds. "Call 911, he shouted, sliding on his knees beside the woman. Her lips were already turning blue. He tilted her head checked for breath nothing. He linked his hands, positioned them over her sternum the way the Red Cross instructor had drilled into him during a mandatory warehouse safety course 3 years ago. 1, 2, 3. He counted compressions out loud, voice steady despite the tremor in his arms. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. Repeat. Sweat dripped off his nose onto her silk blouse. Someone in the background sobbed. A child asked, "Mommy, is she dead?" Ethan shut it all out. He remembered Maya in the hospital, the monitors flatlining, the doctors pushing him aside. Not this time. Come on, come on. After 4 cycles, the woman coughed a wet, rattling sound and color rushed back into her cheeks. Ethan sat back on his heels, lungs burning. Sirens wailed closer. The barista handed him a towel. He hadn't realized his knuckles were bleeding from hitting the tile. Paramedics flooded in. As they lifted her onto the stretcher, the woman's eyes fluttered open and locked on Ethan. "Thank," she whispered, voice like torn paper. He managed a nod. Then she was gone, ambulance doors slamming. Ethan looked down at his coffee-stained blueprints, ruined. A barista offered a replacement drink. He declined. He gathered the soggy papers, embarrassment creeping up his neck. He'd just saved a life, yet felt like he'd lost something too. Have you ever given everything you had to help someone, then walked away certain you'd never see them again? Monday evening, Ethan was scrubbing oatmeal off Lily's high chair when the doorbell rang. He wasn't expecting anyone. The landlord texted when he planned to visit. Lily padded beside him as he opened the door. A woman stood in the hallway holding a small potted orchid. Same navy suit, now wrinkle-free. Same silver streaks, now neatly brushed. But hair ice clear, sharp, a lever, unmistakable. She extended a manicured hand. "Mr. Carter, my name is Victoria Lang. You saved my life." Ethan wiped his hand on his t-shirt before shaking hers. Just Ethan, and anyone would have done the same. Victoria's gaze flicked to Lily, who hid behind Ethan's leg. "May I come in?" Inside the tiny apartment, Victoria perched on the only chair not covered in toys. She set the orchid on the counter. "I owe you more than a thank you, but first, I need to tell you something." She reached into her purse, pulled out a worn photograph, and handed it to Ethan. It showed a younger Victoria beside a broken-down sedan, hazard lights blinking. Leaning against the hood was Ethan 5 years younger, wearing the same crooked smile, changing her tire on a rain-darkened highway. Ethan blinked. "That was you?" Victoria nodded. "I was driving to my first board meeting as CFO. I was terrified I'd miss it. You stopped, soaked to the skin, refused the 20 I tried to give you. You said, 'Just pay it forward. I never forgot.'" She looked around the apartment hand-me-down furniture, the stroller prototype leaning against the wall like a hopeful skeleton. "I've spent the last decade paying that kindness forward in big ways and small, and the universe just dropped you back into my life." Ethan shifted, uncomfortable. "I'm glad you're okay, Ms. Lang, but I'm not looking for charity." Victoria leaned forward. "I'm the CEO of Lang Innovations. I invest in people whose grit outruns their resources. Your blueprints, may I?" Ethan hesitated, then handed her the salvaged pages. Victoria studied them, eyes widening. "This is brilliant. Lightweight, universal clamp folds into a backpack. Do you have a patent pending?" Ethan laughed, hollow. "That's $2,000 I don't have." Victoria pulled a checkbook from her purse. Ethan stiffened. "I can't." "Hear me out," she interrupted. This isn't charity, it's seed capital. $100,000 for 40% equity. You keep creative control. I'll fund the patent, prototyping, and first production run. But you have to agree to one condition. Ethan swallowed. Which is? Victoria's eyes softened. When you're in a position to do so, you help someone else the way you helped me, twice. Lily tugged Victoria's sleeve. Can I touch your shiny necklace? Victoria let a warm, surprised sound and lifted the little girl onto her lap. Ethan's throat tightened. Maya would have liked this woman. He extended his hand. Deal. 6 months later, Ethan stood on a small stage in a community center packed with parents, therapists, and reporters. Behind him, a banner read, Lily, go launch, mobility for every family. On the table sat the final prototype sleek aluminum, teal fabric, Lily's handprints stenciled on the side. Victoria stood beside him, not in a navy suit, but a soft cardigan, clapping as proudly as any grandmother. Ethan spoke, voice steady. This stroller was born from my wife's wheelchair and my daughter's first steps. It was funded by a flat tire and a second heartbeat. And every unit sold will set aside $5 to provide free strollers to families in need. The room erupted. A mother in the front row wiped her eyes. Her teenage son in a wheelchair gave Ethan a thumbs up. After the applause faded, Victoria took the mic. I've spent 30 years chasing profit margins. Today, I chased something better, a legacy, and it started with a man who refused to let a stranger stay stranded on the roadside or on the edge of death. She turned to Ethan. Your turn. Ethan looked out at the crowd, then down at Lily, who waved from the front row wearing a miniature Lily Go t-shirt. He took a breath. Kindness looks small when you give it a tire changed, 30 compressions on a coffee shop floor, but it grows, it circles back, it lifts whole families, whole communities. So, if you're sitting out there wondering whether your small kindness matters, look at us. We're your receipt. What tiny act of kindness have you given lately that might already be on its way back to you, bigger than you ever imagined? As the lights dimmed and attendees crowded around the demo table, Ethan noticed a teenage barista from Bean, Bloom standing shyly near the exit. She clutched a flyer. CPR training free this Saturday. Ethan walked over. You saved my life too, she whispered. I panicked that day. I'm learning so I can help next time. Ethan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You already helped by calling 911. Keep going. Pass it on. 1 year later, the Lily Go was on shelves in 12 countries. Ethan no longer worked warehouse shifts. He and Lily had a small house with a backyard and a dog named Comet. Victoria had retired from Lang Innovations to chair the nonprofit wing Ethan created, Second Heartbeat Foundation, funding mobility devices and CPR training in underserved neighborhoods. On the anniversary of the coffee shop rescue, Ethan returned to Bean, Bloom. The barista from the launch now, a certified EM, handed him a coffee on the house. On the sleeve was written, Paid forward, again. Ethan stepped outside into soft rain. Across the street, a young father struggled to fold a stroller while balancing a baby on his hip. Ethan crossed, smiled, and said, Need a hand? If this story reminded you that no kindness is ever wasted, take a second to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you won't miss the next moment the universe decides to say thank you. Then, drop a comment. What's one small act of kindness you're going to do today? Because somewhere out there, someone's heart might be waiting for your second heartbeat. Disclaimer. This story is an original work for The Kind Story, created by human writers with AI assistance for formatting and narration. It reflects real-life inspired emotions and adheres to YouTube's community guidelines and monetization policies.